don't you know the hip and shoulder?
30 all.
Anyway, the free kick umpire's right. As we see Wilson.
Not necessarily right, but very hard to change his mind.
Goal to Brian Wilson, he's fourth.
Westpac makes managing your money a lot easier by giving you a one-card way to bank. For faster service in our branches, 24-hour access to handy banks right across Australia, and a handy way to pay for things you need and get your extra cash as well. A convenient way to shop or bank with just one card. You choose either a Westpac MasterCard or a Westpac card, because the card is the bank and the bank is Westpac.
If you took this summer's entire range of Farah coordinates and coordinated them, you'd have hundreds of different outfits. That's enough Farah coordinates for 117 barbecues, 68 days of the cricket.
In 30 seconds, there's only time to show an armful of coordinates. A Farah stockist will show you the rest.
37 parties.
Farah, clothes by us, coordination by you.
Farah coordinates are available at all fine menswear stores and selected department stores.
And we're approaching time on in this last quarter with Melbourne 81 and Carlton 45.
You're a funny man, Don. He took a dive, said Don, as he protected himself by dipping the shoulder and diving on the ball. That's common sense to do that. He's only a little fella. You're nearly 25 minutes gone in this final quarter. The Demons have been far too good. And little Paul O'Brien, number 40, there's not much of him. He pretty saw Tommy Alvin coming. He really did protect himself. There he is, getting the ball out to Allingworth. Now it's to Batterston. Gee, I tell you what, he's not far off best on the ground either. Don Scott will be awarding $100, courtesy of Channel 7, of course, for the best player on the ground. There's Peter Thorne trying to handball. Mark Williams from half-back towards half-forward. Oh, the big fly was by the Carlton centre-forward. Mark Buckley couldn't take it. Lovely hand pass comes across there to Rodney Ryder. Short pass looking for Brett Bailey. Now it's up to Ray Holden, the former full-back. He gets caught when he didn't have the ball. Play on, said the umpire. The hand pass comes over towards the Peter Kenny. Kenny from half-back towards half-forward. The ball thumped away by Graham. Now it's John Fidge. He's a very, very cool player, John Fidge. This player's played a tremendous game on the back line. Danny Hughes, he gets it right out towards the half-back line. A chance for the pace to be shown of Kelly O'Donnell here. He's quite happy to see the ball bounce over the line, and it will be a throw-in. But too many of the Carlton players have been well down today. Melbourne have played as a real team. 11-15 to Carlton 6-9.
Boundary throw in. Oh, off the ground by Batterston. Missed the ball and everybody else that was in a couple of metres. Holden looking for the free kick. He kicks off the ground. Batterston again. They dive on it. Umpire letting it go. And finally says, I'll have it. And we have played 26.5 minutes into the last quarter. Melbourne 11-15, Carlton 6-9.
Actually, it's a pity the game's finished the way it has, because it had everything for the first quarter and a half. It was a tremendous contest, but Melbourne have really got on top.
Alvin calls for it in the centre of the ground, missed it, taken there by Hutchison up to half forward, rebounds back towards Hartney. He'll get his quick kick in. Melbourne intercepted again though. They're dominating in the centre of the ground at the moment, Melbourne. Down to half forward, Ellingworth running at it, in underneath the ball though, and showing courage there for Carlton. It was Mackenzie, I think, and there'll be a bounce. So 27 minutes gone now. 81 plays 45, and looking at the crowd, there are some gaps still in the stands. It's going to be a cold and windy afternoon. We had a slight drizzle about 15 or 20 minutes ago.
At this stage, Graham, just looking at the crowd, it's 1:45. You'd be a little bit worried if you're the promoter, because there are a lot of vacancies in the stand.
Well, you'd be thinking to yourself, they've got to come soon. Here's Tanner, lines up, fires at goal, too far for Wilson, and out on the full. Main scoreboard end, which shows us approaching the 28-minute mark. And it's Gagan, who's trying to run on, gets a penalty. Now he plays on, goes around the outer side. Crowd might be down, and so is the temperature. Carlton now on the outer side. Not much left in this game except the reward for the winners. Melbourne 11-15, Carlton 6-9, and the under-19s A 68-point win to North Melbourne, and 6 different teams playing today in the under-19s. North will beat Richmond in this, the reserves. Melbourne will beat Carlton. And then, of course, at 2:30, the big one, Hawthorn and Essendon. Melbourne running through the centre of the ground again. Kick is out wide. Ellingworth running towards it. See who gets there first. Good shepherding by Holden. But Southby, Carlton in trouble. Had the opportunity to clear. On the bottom there is Ellingworth. And the umpire will have a bounce.
An indication of that.
There it is.
There it is.
It's all over. The Channel 7 Reserves Grand Final for 1984 sees Melbourne 11-15, 81, Carlton 6-9, 45.
The Nissan Grand Final Savings Marathon is on now, and the savings are unbelievable. Here's Lou.
Unbelievable's right. Nissan dealers have special offers on every model in stock. Look at these. $500 rebate on Pulsar sedans, $750 rebate on Bluebird wagons, and $1,000 rebate on Bluebird sedans. But you better hurry. These savings end with the bounce of the ball this Saturday.
Come alive, come and drive, Nissan. Hey, all you so-called average guys, there's no such thing as an average size.
That's why Just Jeans have got together their biggest range of brands, styles and colours in practically every size. Because, well, there's no such thing as an average guy. Right, Max? He's wrapped in his Lee Cooper stretch canvas, or there's Lee Stretch, Wrangler canvas, or Amco linen Bogarts. Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
Just Jeans, 'cause no one's just average.
If you do your own oil change, you can save a few dollars by using a cheap oil. But you might not save your engine. It's not worth risking a cheap oil. Your expensive engine deserves the protection of new Mobil Super Drop. The first oil to combine friction modifiers with 20,000 kilometers of engine protection. New Mobil Super Drop.
Ta-da! Announcing the Great Muppet Caper.
It's a new Muppet movie. The glamour.
It's sensational.
The excitement.
I can only take you as far as the lobby.
The adventure.
Miss Piggy stole my necklace.
We're gonna have to catch those thieves red-handed. What color are their hands now?
The excitement.
You want excitement?
Diana Rigg, John Cleese, Peter Falk, and an all-star cast in The Great Muppet Caper, premiering tonight at 6:30 on 7.
Final score in the Channel 7 Reserves Grand Final for 1984. Melbourne 11-15-81, Carlton 6-9, 45. Goal scorers for Melbourne: Brian Wilson kicked 5, Frank Regolo 3, and 1 each to Greg Hutchison and Ted Fidge, and also to Xavier Tanner. And for Carlton, 2 goals to Warren Ralph, and then 1 each to Peter Dean, Darren O'Jay and Mick Kennedy. 81 plays 45. And so a handy win there to Melbourne in the reserves. And in the under-19s, earlier today here at the MCG, as the sun now starts to come out, we saw a 68-point win to North Melbourne, 17-19 to Richmond, 7-11. Best players, Don Scott.
Well, very hard to find good players because, as usual, players do float in and out of the game. But I suppose players that should receive honourable mentions. One for Carlton, Brendan Hartney. You know, today was a day when you really had to keep your eye on the ball. And Brendan Hartney, he was there when they really did require it, and some of his efforts, although not outstanding, but he kept his eye on the ball, he just kept going, whereas a lot of his other teammates just did not do that. Melbourne, on the other hand, they played as a team. Players such as Danny Hughes played at the third quarter, Rodney Wright at third quarter, Brett Bailey started very well, Batterson started.
Here's the presentation for the Channel 7 Reserves Grand Final Cup.
Of the Melbourne Reserve side, Greg Hutchinson. Greg, congratulations. And of course, medallions for all of the winning teams. Congratulations to the Melbourne Football Club.
I'd just like to thank Channel 7 for doing this, and of course, a wonderful bunch of boys. Well done, boys. I'm very proud of you. Thanks very much.
Okay, well, Don, back to your best players as Greg Hutchison accepts the cup on behalf of his team, who won today by 36 points.
Well, Carlton, on the other hand, they really didn't have a good player. I think one player that stood out was Tommy Elvin. And I've given my award today to two players. I'll share it. John Fidge, I thought his second quarter was outstanding. He was a stumbling block as far as Carlton were concerned across that line. Didn't have much work to do after half-time because the ball never really went there. But the other fellow, Tommy Elvin, he never gave up trying. And, you know, I really do hope for Tommy's sake that he goes on and plays league football for quite a few years to go. So the best players today, John Fidge and Tom Elvin.
One player that really impressed me throughout the day, I thought he was tremendous in the packs and did the hard things when they were really necessary, was Adrian Batterston. I thought he was, I agree with Don's summary of the good players, but I thought Batterston was a terrific player when the pressure was applied, and his use of the ball and getting the ball to other players was an inspiration to his team. But generally I thought that Melbourne were just too even all over the ground. They had too many goers. They're a younger side than the Carlton side, and I think that made the difference because they were a bit quicker too, Don.
They were a little bit
slow side.
Well, they were a little bit more committed, weren't they, Melbourne? Carlton started off very well, but they really didn't get much from their smaller fellows. We've mentioned Kenny Sheldon, really left a lot to be desired as far as being a senior player is concerned. His contribution was really not worthwhile at all.
I thought a big change too came over the game when young Ted Fidge came onto the ground in that first quarter. Gee, did he make a difference?
Well, they needed something at that stage. You know, the game was at a hurly-burly. It started off with fists being thrown, and you couldn't question that side of the game. But you needed a player who kept his eye on the ball, and the Fidges, obviously, it runs through the family courage. And young Ted that came on kept his eye on the ball, and he really got them going in that first quarter.
Message up on the big scoreboard here. On behalf of the viewing public of Australia, we would like to thank HSV7's Alf Potter for 28 years of fantastic direction of VFL football, and from all of us, we concur.
28 years. It's a long time, isn't it? I don't think I was even thought of 28 years ago.
Well, we've had Alf's.
He would have known Logie.
Beautiful voice in our ears for the past 5 to 10
He would have
minutes.
probably grown up with Logie Baird.
Just the final score again in the reserves, the Channel 7 Reserves Grand Final, a 36-point win to Melbourne, 11-15 to Carlton, 6-9. Perhaps now, just before we leave this segment of the telecast, as the cheer squads get ready with the banners, quite predictable, I think, the messages on the banners. On the Hawthorn one, it says back-to-back, and Sweet Revenge on the banner for Essendon. Just some quick thoughts on the big game this afternoon, gentlemen.
Well, I'm going for Essendon. I think that Sweet Revenge or whatever, I think they've got a lot to establish after last year's debacle. They would have learnt from their previous encounter with Hawthorn that you just cannot afford to give Hawthorn a ninch at any stage of the game. They were really, I consider, only one kick away from winning that game, and I think they would have learned, and I think that they may go on and win.
Well, it's a lovely way to end our commentary for the season, Don, that you and I are going to disagree once again. I think that Hawthorn have been the best side in the league all year by about 3 goals. I think they'll win by about 3 goals. I think they're too even, and I think that they've got those good running players on the ball.
Okay, that takes it out from our coverage of the Channel 7 Reserves Grand Final. So that's it at the moment from the MCG.
Channel 7 Reserve Cup Grand Final was another 7 Sport football presentation. This exclusive telecast of the 1984 Reserves Grand Final was proudly brought to you by National Panasonic Consumer Electronics and presented for your enjoyment by Carlton, one of the world's great brewers, in association with TAA, the friendly way, and General Motors Holden, Australia's driving future.
On the beach and in the sun, the real thing is so much fun. For the times of your life and the things that you do, Coke is right there with you. Coke is it when you want to feel really fresh. Coke is it, and when you're thirsting for the best. Coke is it, the biggest taste you'll ever get. Coke is it, Coke is it.
Aquanaut, Aquanaut. pool cleaner pre-programmed to clean your entire pool quickly, quietly and efficiently without your ever having to lift a finger. Aquanaut is programmed to make circles, left and right turns, straight runs, climbing up and down the walls, into and out of every corner. For a sparkling clean pool, Aquanaut, the new generation pool cleaner that thinks for itself.
You could really do yourself a favour at the TAB.
You betcha.
The lucky shop? Oh, it certainly has been for me. You're never too old to have a matter.
Mine comes up every time at the TAB.
Oh. That should cover it. Keep the change.
You can bet on the TAB. Yeah, and it's legal.
JB, sir. You betcha.
Just as these three atoms become one molecule, so these three paints becomes the one solution to all the interior painting needs. Why three? New vinyl for a great matte finish on walls. New satin is a semi-gloss. Tough enough for windows and doors. And new gloss for a genuine full gloss. And of course, they all wash out in H2O, and marks just wipe off. British Paints, the perfect formula for all your interior painting. Trust British Paints? Sure can.
It's gotta be Bonds.
It's gotta be Bonds. The things that they've made, stay tuned and made. How can you go wrong?
It's gotta be Bonds. All summer long. They're fresh and they're cool. You'd be a fool not to try if you are.
It's gotta be Bonds. It's gotta be Bonds. The range never stops. Just look at our tops and all of our bottoms. Let's get it straight. It's gotta be Bonds.
From the city lights to the little towns and the mighty rivers flow, Tasmania's magic, Tasmania's magic. From the fighting trout in the mirrored lakes to the place the jet set play. From the forest wild to the rocky coast that'll take your breath away. It's a different place with amazing grace to spend a holiday.
Can you resist this temptation? 8 magic spring days on a Fly-Drive Tasmanian holiday. First-class accommodation, a rental car with unlimited kilometres, discount passes to 33 attractions, just $409 per person from Melbourne. See your airline, travel agent or Tas Bureau. Tasmania. Be tempted.
Win, lose or draw, the grand final edition of World of Sport has it all. A complete roundup of the day, plus live crosses to the after-match celebrations. A special edition of the World of Sport tonight at 8:30. This exclusive telecast of the 1984 Grand Final is proudly brought to you by Nissan Bluebird, the total balance of power, luxury and economy. In association with NEC, Australia's future in home entertainment. And Westpac, Australia's most competitive bank. Westpac, the bank. This silver trophy represents a tradition that has been fought for since 1897. It has even survived the threat of 2 world wars. To win this trophy is the ultimate football achievement in the land. To be the best in Australia. But the price is high. To win it requires nothing less than the utmost commitment to victory. An all-conquering determination. An unstoppable will to win. It is to work, to sweat, to bleed. It is to run faster than you ever thought you could. To fly higher than you ever dreamed possible. It is to never give in, to overcome humiliation and use it as your strength. Yes, it demands much, and it takes its toll. It is not easy to achieve. It is the 1984 VFL Premiership, the ultimate reward.
And a very good afternoon, everyone, from the Melbourne Cricket Ground in Australia, and welcome to our telecast of the 1984
VFL Grand Final between Hawthorn and Essendon. The two teams that did battle on the same grounds just on 12 months ago, with Hawthorn then winning by a record margin of some 83 points. This year, it's Hawthorn's 8th appearance in a VFL Grand Final. Essendon have appeared in more than 20. Hawthorn going for back-to-back premierships, therefore, although the Bombers have not won since 1965. Interestingly, Essendon won that flag in that year when they defeated St Kilda, who were then coached by the leader of Hawthorn today, and that is, of course, Alan Jeans. It's a very colourful scene here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground at the moment, certainly a lot cooler than we would have anticipated for this time of the year. We have the balloons ready to go up. There are marching bands and girls out there, and indeed certainly what we would expect on Grand Final day. To find out what it looks like from the air, we go up to Peter Donegan in the Channel 7 News helicopter.
Thank you very much, Peter, and good afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be watching around Australia or around the world. And this is the scene from the 7 Sport helicopter above the Melbourne Cricket Ground on Grand Final day of 1984. And even at our height of about 1,500 feet, it's hard not to be caught up in the atmosphere of this great sporting event. The white bags you can see around the oval are the balloons which will be released upon the entry of the two sides, Hawthorn and Essendon, onto this great arena. And everything looks set for a marvellous game, a replay of last year's VFL Grand Final. The traffic situation has flowed smoothly. All car parking spots are now taken, and the stands are filled with over 100,000 people expecting a great clash. We wish both of the sides the best of luck. May the best side win, and it really is a tremendous sight from up here in the Channel 7.
Is Lucky Phil. Usually pulls 1 or 2 at the races. He's won a couple of 4th divisions in Tats. And he's just won the raffle at the pub. Now Lucky Phil's numbers come up again. He's one of the thousands of motorists pulled over each month by police for a random breath test.
Excuse me, driver.
If you're over .05, Phil, this time you're out of luck.
Okay, culture climbers, here's Hip Hop 84.
Wake me up before you go.
It's the album that's shaken out the tracks, so hop into it. Let's hear it for the boy. Automatic, Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go, Self-Control, The Reflex, Small Town Boy, Oh Sherry, Only When You Leave. Remember the name, Hip Hop 84. It's the one with the big chart sounds. Steady on, we don't stop there. Get volume 2 free. Uprock, Doctor Doctor, When Doves Cry. We've sorted the best for the hip hop set. Almost 2 hours of top chart sounds on 2 giant albums. You won't miss a beat with a pair like this. Hip Hop 84. Buy volume 1, get volume 2 free. It's at your record store now on LP and cassette for just $9.99 from Telmac Tele Products.